Hello and welcome back to the Ever-Changing World podcast. I'm your host, Ava Zanetti, and I am re-recording the first 5 minutes of this. If you don't know anything about this podcast, or I guess if you can't tell, I don't edit these podcast episodes, and my nose was actually kind of running while I was recording it. I was 5 minutes in, and it just got to a point where I was like, I need to go get some Kleenex. And, if I need to wipe my nose, I'll wipe my nose. So, I'm back now. It was only 5 minutes, though, so I felt okay re-recording and not, running in the middle of the episode to grab Kleenex, which would be quite silly. But I'm all good. If you don't know anything about these past few weeks, I had a really, really bad flu 2 weeks ago. It was at the height, and last week I just got over it. I've been back at school for the week, but I'm still not feeling great. My stomach has been hurting today. I think I have allergies now. The weather has been really off here in Canada. I live in Ontario, Canada, again for reference. It's beginning of May, and the weather's still not great. I mean, we had really bad rain today, and I know rain happens everywhere all the time, all throughout the year, but it's just colder than it normally should be. And obviously, you could probably justify that to climate change, which is not a topic of today, but it's obviously a very important topic. We just had Earth Month as well. But it's, kind of that time of year where it should be getting warmer, and it really isn't over in this end of the world. So, we're kind of dealing with that as well, and I think that's affecting my current state. So if my voice is really off, or if you hear, the rustling of paper, which you probably shouldn't, my microphone's far enough, or if you hear me drinking water, just expect it's because I'm kind of getting over things. So hopefully you can bear with me on that. 2 weeks ago I had a really, really, really scratchy voice. So I think it'll be a lot easier to understand me today, which is a very good thing. So yeah, that is my little point of reference there for my voice and my nose, and hopefully it won't be too much of a bother. I know that my voice probably sounds okay. I re-listened to actually the first 5 minutes that I did before I kind of ran out of the room, and I think I sound okay. So we're going to get through today's episode. It's going to go great. And yeah, so I really kind of just want to talk about a few things that are on my mind before I get into the topic today, which is social media. I was actually really inspired by a guest speaker at my school today, which I'll get into that whole spiel after I talk a little bit more. But I think that this topic is really important, and I want to talk about one specific social media because, to me, this one is the most important in terms of the addictiveness and kind of everything else going on with it. So we're going to do that, and it's going to go great, of course. So, let's see. So the main thing I wanted to talk about today was Elon Musk. Elon Musk is back in the news, as we all know. I talked about him last week for 20 minutes. I talked to him about him on an episode when I was really sick for half an hour. And he is buying Twitter. A lot of people are mad about that. And I'm giving my opinion on this a lot, so I'm not going to go into the whole detail advice on that. But Elon Musk also currently went to the Met Gala. He gave us all some fun memes of the day kind of thing, which I thought was really, really funny. And, oh god, they're judging he brought his mom. People were mad about him bringing his mom, which I found was really kind of funny and weird. Oh, yeah, and then this as well. I wanted to talk about this, too, really quickly. It is a bit more of a pop culture moment, this topic. I talked a lot about Elon, so if you want my opinion on that, honestly, listen to last week's episode, as well as, the, episode before. Though my voice was really scratchy, so I'd probably recommend last week's, as well as the NFT episodes. Honestly, guys, today's week 18 of the podcast, which means we've almost been going for 5 months, which is kind of insane. So I have lots of episodes up. So go listen to all of them if you can, of course. Okay, so this whole topic I want to talk about real quick before we get into social media is the Kim Kardashian Pete Davidson saga that we've been seeing. So Kim and Pete have been dating since Kim divorced from Kanye, what was it, like 8 months ago? And they met on SNL, whatever, they kissed each other on SNL, they've been dating, whatever, sure. Personally, I think the relationship's really weird, like, it's really, like, it doesn't really make sense, I don't know what they would talk about, because Kim is, like, a mother of 4, in her 40s, and, Pete's in his late 20s, and he's, never had a long, committed relationship, really. Well, I don't know his exact dating history, but, we all know him for being a prolific, like, smoker, and nothing wrong with that, but obviously it's a very different position in life, being able to do that stuff than having 4 children and building, like a Skims and empire, right? So it's a little different, weird pairing, but I guess you can judge differently based on it. But something really weird that happened. So the first really weird thing was P was already tattooing her, like, right when they started dating. And sure, you can say that's really cute and sweet, and maybe you think that's really cute and sweet. I personally think it's weird, especially that early, but okay, whatever. Sure, we can maybe ignore that. But the big thing was he ended up so crazy. He ended up marking himself. So, you know how a cow gets marked when they are kind of up for, okay, I'm so sorry. I had to blow my nose there. Hopefully that wasn't... Okay, I am literally so sorry. I don't edit these videos because, honestly, I don't have enough time to edit them, so, I might be blowing my nose, I guess, during the video. I gotta up my editing game here. Or maybe I'll figure out a thing where I can do, like, music while I'm, like, doing something. Ideas, guys, ideas. Anyways, a little back history again, the Kim Pete thing. Pete marked himself like a cow. So he got the whole heat thing, and, cows get marked when they're up for, to be killed. He got one of those, of Kim. Name, and it's really weird. He said, "Oh, well, that will never go away." Even though he wants to redo tattoos, I guess it meant more to him. I don't know, but that was creepy. So now this new thing is that he tattooed, or we think this is what it means. He tattooed, Kim and all of her children's initials on him. Guys, this is the weirdest freaking thing I've seen all day. So this is true. It's really disgusting, I have to say. Everyone thinks it's because of Kanye. So he did, on his chest there, he has, we think it is about Kim and her kids, because he's had a lot of Kim tattoos, a lot of weird ones as well, and it would only make sense for him to do something weird again like this. The quality was really bad, but it was a paparazzi photo, and what it is on his kind of on his collarbone almost, and it says KNSCP. And if you don't know anything about the Kardashians, K is for Kim, obviously. N is for North, Kim's oldest kid. S is for Saint. C is for Chicago. And P is for Psalm. Those are 4 kids' names. Yes, I know, in my opinion, they are a little weird, but that's what she named them. And he has that tattooed. We don't know if that's exactly what it is, but it is kind of gross. I think it's really disgusting. I always say, the thing with tattoos, you should never tattoo someone's name unless it's your kid or your family member on you. You should never tattoo a boyfriend, even a husband, because that can end in divorce too, right? You don't want to tattoo anyone's name on you, because that lasts on there, and it's weird having that on there, right? So you never do that. And, you do tattoo your kids' names. But if this really is what this tattoo means, he's tattooing, it's his girlfriend of 8 months, her 4 children, which I think is absolutely disgusting. Do what you want with Kim and tattooing her name, but I think it's gross that he's tattooing, the kids' names, because the kids have nothing to do with him. They barely even know him, and I think it's really just a jab at Kanye. I think he's just like, hey, look, I stole your wife and I stole your kids. And that's kind of what he's trying to get at here. And I think it's disgusting. I think he needs to not do that. And if it really is true that his tattoo is about that, I think it's just absolutely gross, absolutely disgusting. And I really don't know how anyone could agree if that would be okay or not, because it really is horrible. I mean, it's just honestly disgusting. uh to get someone else's kid's name on you, you'd have to be their stepfather or stepmother for years and, really devote your time to them. He's only been there for 8 months and he's tattooing this. It really is obviously just a big, massive poke at Kanye. And I think it's really gross to bring the kids into it like that. You can have your problems with Kanye all you want. He's a problematic guy. But there's better ways to do it than tattooing his kid's name on you. Because at the end of the day, if you get broken up with Kim, because that's probably what will happen, most things end up in breakups. And even if they lasted together until the day they die, it's still obviously horrible timing. You never know. And bringing the kids into things like that as a ploy, right? It really is here like a ploy. A lot of time in divorces, people bring the kids in to make people jealous or move things. But I just think it would be really bad. And I just don't think that it would, you know, be nice to have something like that on there. And some people are kind of talking, and I'm on Twitter right now, obviously. People are saying, I'm kind of patiently waiting for them to break up, don't want her, wish he wouldn't get too close to her kids, must be hard on them. Uh, you know, you know, someone said, most people don't introduce their kids to someone they only dating for a few months, and where the kids are getting too attached to people who won't be going around for too long. And honestly, I agree with that. I think you shouldn't bring any boyfriend or any partner around your kids for a very, very long time. And when you do, you have to do it very gradually because it's very new for them. And you don't want people keep coming in and out of your life and keep introducing your kids to new boyfriends. Like, because you're supposed to be doing that yourself. You're supposed to be discovering, all of that out by yourself. And you shouldn't be bringing around new people. And I just think that's standard practice. Anyways, that's my opinion on the Pete, Kim, Pete. I don't know if they have an acronym yet. Pete, Kim. I don't know how they do an acronym. I know they do Kimye for Kanye and Kim. Kim Pete situation. That's what we're gonna call it. Anyways, why don't we get into the actual topic of today? As you guys can tell, I like talking about things for a really long time, and that's okay. Sorry, okay. So today, I actually did this in the introduction of the last 5 minutes I recorded, but I didn't do that this time because I talked about how I had to blow my nose. So today I am talking about social media, and I will be very honest. I am one of those people when there is a presentation at a school that's supposed to be inspirational, motivational for students. I am probably one of the only people, or at least one of the only people that show it, that really do enjoy those presentations. I really enjoy what they talk about. I always really enjoy the, kind of topics and all of that. And I really do get inspired by it. And I find that it's a really great thing to do. And usually the presentations are by good people and by people who are really, there and really making a topic that's important for us to hear. Because that's why the schools do it, right? They don't do these presentations. They don't do these presentations to. Sorry about that. My dog was crying at the door. This has been quite the day. And I can't re-record it now. But usually people do these presentations and the teachers pick it for a reason, right? Social media, they choose it for younger students to tell them about social media use and to be careful. And that's kind of part of what I'll be talking about today. As well, though, these other things too. I know we've had presentations about being safe online, actually. But we have a lot of different presentations. I'm usually very inspired by them, to be honest. And today we had a social media presentation, and this was all about the guy. Actually, I think he did a really good job about how he focused his attention on social media. We have a social media presentation, I'd say, every single year, but I think the guy really did focus his attention on the right things. Today, our kind of presentation topic was about how social media use can be used for good. And I think that's really important. And I think pointing it in that direction, especially to an audience that obviously is using a lot of social media, and he talked about he uses social media, but obviously our audience as teenagers and kids do use a lot of social media, a lot more than he would. Um, he was, talking about how it can be pointed in the right direction, and I got really inspired by that, and I got really interested in how I could talk about that on my podcast and kind of bring this topic forth. The thing that I really want to talk about in terms of social media is TikTok. I think that's really important. And I think that it's really this particular app has come really fast in the world, and it's really accelerated, and it's been really big. And people are very scared of it. People are really you know wanting to go with this app. Kids are using it a lot. And when kids are using an app in a really big, broad way, or using really anything in a big, broad way, it really is kind of scary, because that means that that app or that thing has a lot of control over the general population and a really impressionable and vulnerable audience that obviously, if there's something that's on there, it can garner a lot of attention, and that can be really dangerous for the scope of the world, and that can be really dangerous for the politics. And if young people are influenced in a certain direction, that can really change the way our society works and the safety. And if kids are also using an app where it might not be safe to post, it's also scary, because things can leak, and information and data, I think, is probably the biggest power that we have in the world, and it's the thing that we are all going to be wanting. Data is the new war, if there is another world war, and obviously, hopefully not, but usually these things happen. It will be virtual, and the big thing people will want is data. The power over people and the power over information is the biggest thing that the world and countries will fight for, and people and groups will fight for. It is huge, and it is going to really, change the scope of the way things run. And the way we look at technology, it is really based off of this data factor. And the reason why TikTok particularly is so scary is because of these other factors, that it isn't owned by the US. And the reason why Donald Trump was very scared of TikTok was also because of that. And the reason why China loves that they own TikTok is because of this. And there's this whole thing where it is big, and it is scary in a way, but there is ways we can control this as individuals, where we don't fall susceptible to the this use, and we don't fall susceptible to the dangers, and we don't fall susceptible to any of the things that is happening on these apps that could be really dangerous. It could really influence us in the wrong direction, and that's why we have to make informed opinions on our own. We can't just look to social media or look to certain even media. We have to make our own research, our own informed decisions as smart individuals, and really make these decisions where we can really understand what we're talking about, and we can do all of this, and it's all really important. So, kind of leading into that, the main thing I first wanted to talk about was kind of the social media use recently. I do have to say that Social media has been used a lot, recently, especially because of COVID. Currently, if you need reference point, I guess I'm recording this in 2022. So COVID is still kind of lingering, and people have been on their phones a lot. And technology is only accelerating, especially with the pandemic. Technology is just accelerating even more. The use of technology in our daily lives is used even more. I know for school, I mean, I used technology before COVID, but it's even more heavily reliant, and I know things are just moving towards that direction even more and more. Things like the SAT are moving online. These big examinations and tests are moving online, which is really weird, and that's actually very unusual. But it is really big, and it is really kind of changing the scape of how we view the world. I've talked about the metaverse, which I think is a really interesting topic. A few weeks ago, I don't know how long ago at this point. Actually, I can pull that up. But I talked about the metaverse a little while back, actually a really long time ago. It was episode number 3 of the podcast. Wow, that was a very long time ago. When I had really proper plans that I read. I go a little bit more on a tangent here, but I think that's a little bit better in terms of how I like to speak. But I talked about the metaverse, and the metaverse is something where it really does show how the world is moving towards, and even if it isn't the metaverse, how the universe is not the universe. Well, if you want to count us as being the universe, but how the world is moving towards technology, and how it can be very dangerous but also very exciting. And I'm a very big advocate for technology. Obviously, I use it every single day. I use it probably way too often. I probably use technology every blinking moment that I'm here, and that's probably not a great thing. But I think a lot of us do. I think a lot of us use technology a lot. And the important thing to note is that when we're using technology this much, we have to realize what our use is. Is our use just mindless scrolling? And I'm going to be honest, I'm very susceptible to this too. Or is it actually purposeful? And are we actually doing things that we enjoy online, or are we just doing things to get rid of boredom? And I think boredom is really important in our lives too. I think boredom is one of the biggest skills that we can learn nowadays because we are so used to this digital age where every single thing is at our fingertips and every single thing can be talked to and figured out and maneuvered. That I think that this pipeline of boredom has really disappeared. I don't think people know how to be bored anymore. Even the adults who say, "Oh, back in my day, we didn't have technology." They're super susceptible to all this technology too, and they don't know how to be bored now either. I mean, I even have conversations with my mom where I'll be talking to her and she'll just be straight on her phone and she'll just, kind of go with a and be like, "Yeah," and she's not even listening to me, right? And like it's kind of sad in a way, but it's how our society has moved. And as unfortunate as that is, we have to recognize, okay, well, it has moved this way where everyone's on their phones and everyone's attached to it like an idiot, and I think all of us are. But how can we not be broken by this big inevitable effects? There was a beautiful Netflix movie documentary, and it's called The Social Dilemma. This was in 2020. It was actually amazing. I was actually super scared when I watched it. It was awesome. It was all about these people from Silicon Valley, which is obviously the big tech hub of the world, talking about the dangers of social use and where this is going and how scary this all is and what is happening to our world and how we need to be protected and how we need to be safe. And this is really changing the game here. And that movie was great. It was 2 years ago now, which is obviously insane that it's been that long. But this movie really did change a lot of people's minds. And when these movies come out, people get scared for like 2 minutes and then they go right back to doing what they'd always done. So I would say watch this with purpose. And then go and make the change. And change is going to be hard. Change is hard at every single point of our lives. But you got to make the change, because that is the only thing that is going to fix your social media habits, your social media problems, your social media addictions. So, enough of my spiel. I'm going to get to actual data here. So, I'm on the Pew Research Center website, talking about the social media use in 2021. So, it was saying how the majority of Americans, and obviously this can be based in America. I'm in Canada right now, but, sure. Talking about how they say YouTube and Facebook, while the use of Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok is especially common among adults under 30. So we have this little graph here, which is very interesting. So there's a growing share of Americans say they use YouTube. Facebook remains one of the most widely used platforms among U.S. adults. So it's really interesting, and I don't believe it. It might be more useful among adults, but I think TikTok is huge in the teen section. But we will see that TikTok is pretty high. I mean, it's one of the top ones here in this little article that they give here. And they said that, in fact, the majority of 18 to 29-year-olds say they use Instagram, 71%, Snapchat, 65%, or roughly half say the same for TikTok. Which I think if they interviewed maybe 10 to 29-year-olds, they would have almost like a 75% number for the TikTok half, which I would think is very true. I think it makes sense that, the, the TikTok use might be lower, because in adults, I would hope they were using TikTok, especially 29-year-olds. I'd hope they're not on TikTok, especially in Snapchat too. Snapchat is definitely a younger app that I find, sorry about that, just adjusted my mic. It's a younger app that a lot of kids use, so I'd hope people weren't using Snapchat or TikTok in a big way at those big ages. But the number is still super high for what's here. And Facebook, it's still kind of high. Like, I don't know why it's still so high. I think it's because they interviewed a certain group of people. But, the broad publication, which I don't really think this is true, but 72% of Americans, they say they never use social media sites, which I think is a complete and utter lie. Because I have my grandparents who use Facebook, right? I think that's a big lie in a lot of ways. The thing with these articles, and this is why I'm not going to link this article, because I don't really like the data here. The data is always really, really skewed, and it's really kind of horrible. So I'm using this other one, Black Link O. Hopefully this one will actually tell me something interesting. So, okay, here. So 44.48 billion people currently use social media worldwide, up more than double from 2 billion in 2015. So just in the last 7 years, we have doubled the amount of people who are using social media. This is not only because more people are getting access to technology, but it's because social media is growing so fast. The world population currently, which I just want to see data. Oh gosh, it's a lot closer to 8 billion than I thought. We have 7.9 billion people on the earth, so 8 billion people are running around. And a little over half of those people are on social media, which means that social media has such a chokehold on our society, such a hold on our society, that over half the people in the world are on it. I can say that with confidence. Over half the people in the world are on social media. That is insane. Those are insane numbers. You also have to remember that a lot of people in the earth are either, obviously older, who might not know how to use social media, or babies, and they're like little kids who can't use social media. So that wipes out a really big number of people. So the fact that we have 4.8 billion actually shows it's even a crazier number, because you have to take into account for the old and young people who aren't using these platforms just because of their circumstances. So it really is for the general population that can make, really big voting decisions, and who are, really mobile and really, cognizant in society and are working and not retired and all of those statistics. Social media has a chokehold, and social media is gardening. I cannot not pronounce that. Guarding exactly what it should be and where we should go in the world, which is scary. So, it's really insane, but, 60, so it says about 61% of the population in the world use social media of eligible audiences age 13 plus. So that's kind of the statistic actually I talked about and didn't even realize was here. So about 61% of the population that are 13 plus, so that age group, they didn't even take account retirees, but let's say 13 plus, there are 63% are active users. So 61% of that audience has social media, and 63% of that audience are active, which is still a huge statistic when you put it on a world scale. So, another crazy statistics is actually, I'm so sorry to my notes. Another crazy statistic is our phones, which is what kind of surprises me. So, 93% of internet users are on social media. However, a titanic 85% of mobile internet users are active on networks. So, that's another huge, crazy statistic. And the other thing that I kind of skipped past by accident, 99% of people access websites or apps through a mobile device, and only 1% access platforms exclusively via desktop. So everyone are on mobile devices. Which is again insane. So everyone has a little phone in their pocket that they're walking around with that can track every single step they make on this earth, track every single thing about them, track everything. And I remember when COVID was really rampant and people were saying there was microchips going into the vaccines, which was really ridiculous. But they were saying, oh my gosh, the microchips. Your phone is the worry. No one cared. There was no microchips in the vaccines. Your phone, it was really the microchip. You bring this thing every single place you go. You don't think anything of it. That is the scary part. That is what is scary. And, oh god, this is scary. This is another scary statistic, especially since I'm almost 16, and obviously I've been on my phone a lot longer than this. But globally, the average time a person spends on social media a day is 2 hours and 24 minutes. Which I have to say, my time is a lot higher than that. It's probably closer to 6 hours. And it's probably not 6 hours of actual engagement. It's probably 6 hours of me just going on it really quickly and going off. But it adds up. And my social media time is probably really bad. But anyways, let's say the average is 2 hours. They said if someone signed up at 16 and lived to 70, they would spend 5.5 years of their life on social media, which, again, is crazy. And it's very scary. And it's a lot of our time on these mindless apps. So, these statistics are huge, and I'm going to link the article that has all this information and maybe shows graphs that are a little bit better, but I don't want to go too much because I want to talk about TikTok. Okay, the psychology of TikTok. This is based on 10, this website, and it's talking about the psychology of TikTok. And I really want to talk about the psychology because I find it's really interesting. So there are more than 1 billion users on TikTok today, just 1/8 the population, including nearly 25% of the United States. So a quarter of the United States is on TikTok. TikTok's demographic skews towards younger audiences, as I mentioned, comprising 63% of the platform comprising users under the age of 30. You also have to remember some users might be lying about their age to get onto TikTok, so they might be younger as well. So this is not really uncommon because new platforms get younger audiences, and then they kind of go to the older audiences when they adopt it. So like Facebook was for younger audiences, and then it kind of went to the older audience when it became kind of too old for them, right? So right, like Facebook isn't cool anymore, right? Type of thing. So, Forbes, okay, this is a huge, crazy, scary statistic. Forbes' John Queister memorably deemed TikTok digital crack cocaine for your brain. I just can't. So TikTok, okay, for reference, and I'm going to give a little spiel on what TikTok is. TikTok is this app where you can post 15, 30-second videos. They're usually about that long. They can be 3 minutes now, a minute, but they're usually 15, 30 seconds. And they're usually, a lot of TikTok is dances. Stupid little dances that people will make with like 5 different dance moves. Not every single dance is the same dance move. TikTok also harbors the wonderful world of POVs or point of views where it's just a shit show, to say the least. TikTok is really, I've been off it. TikTok, I realize, for me is actually horrible. I've been using TikTok Reels, but it really isn't doing the same thing for me as TikTok does, which I think is good. So I've been off of TikTok, which, has been important for me. But, it's It really is like crack cocaine, and it's all these videos. Also, lip syncing is huge. It's just people trying to make themselves look pretty and lip sync and dance. And the reason why this is so addicting, there's obviously other content on TikTok, but what it is, the addicting part is the scrolling. That scrolling movement. You have it on Instagram too. It's when you like go up with your finger on your phone. You probably have all scrolled on something. But TikTok is so addicting because there's these short little videos and then you go doop, scroll, doop, scroll, doop, scroll. Every single minute there's a new video on the For You page. So the For You page is this algorithm that is particularly tailored to you. So a lot of social media has algorithms like this. But TikTok has done it really well, where they really track the videos that you like, you spend the most amount of time on, and they show you videos that are like that. I've heard theories that in China, because TikTok is owned by China, that in China they're showing people things that are more regarded to science and engineering, while in the States they're showing these stupid dance TikToks, almost as a way to make China move faster and become better than America, which I think is brilliant because China owns this and I think it's the biggest platform for young kids nowadays. I'll get into that probably a little bit later though. So this is kind of what TikTok is, and it really is just crack cocaine. So, TikTok's algorithm really is just designed to keep you coming back for more. So, it can detect within a few hours everything about you, like your sexual orientation, music taste, mental health, and your sense of humor. So, it'll keep showing you every single thing. As well as the hashtags and all of that. So in December 2021, which was recently compared to what time I'm recording this, the New York Times reviewed one of TikTok's leaked internal documents, which was developed to teach non-technical employees about the platform's algorithm. This document supports the idea that the platform wants you in the app every day for as long as it can get you, which is quite the business model for TikTok, but for people, it is quite the horrible thing to be on something that is that scary. So, the document indicated that the platform purposely shows users videos that are close to what they want to see, but not exactly on the nose. This way, users continue to watch and gain exposure to other videos that they may be interested in along the way. Absolutely brilliant on a business model and on an algorithm to just get you close enough, but not quite, to keep you hooked. So, according to Julian McAuley, a computer science professor at University of San Diego, the algorithm isn't you, it's just unique. So TikTok not only has crazy amounts of data and highly engaged users, but it also has a setting where users are able to consuming algorithmically recommended content. So, think about how other settings have all of these characteristics. So while Instagram feeds you mostly content from what you follow, your default on TikTok is a For You page. So Instagram has the Explore page, which is similar, but isn't as addicting for sure. It kind of shows you crap content, to be honest. It doesn't really have a great algorithm. And TikTok, right when you open the app, you're on the For You page, and that keeps you hooked. Keeps you on the app. So how it kind of hacks your brain in this way. So John Coister, as I mentioned, called it digital crack cocaine for your brain. So according to a leaked data report in 2021, users spend an average of 89 minutes a day on TikTok, which is pretty scary. I remember when I was on TikTok, I watched it a lot. I was on there for hours a day, and that's why I had to stop. It really is like a drug to me. Social media is really bad for me, and I recognize that, so this was huge. So in this article, Coister interviewed Dr. Julie Albright, discussed how when we use TikTok, we are essentially drugging ourselves. So the quote here, I'm going to quote, I believe this is from a book, Digital Crack Cocaine. No, this is an article. Sorry. So when you're scrolling, sometimes you see a photo or something that's delightful and it catches your attention, Albright says, and you get that little dopamine hit in the brain and the pleasure part of the brain. So you want to keep scrolling. This is from the Digital Crack Cocaine, the science behind TikTok's success. So the psychology is similar to what we see in dating apps. So we receive a nice hit of dopamine when we find a video we like on TikTok. And then we keep getting that dopamine. So we just want that dopamine. It's like a dopamine rush. It really is like crack, how that works. How drugs crack your brain. social media does it the same way. It wants you to have that dopamine. The likes, the follows, those are all dopamine hits. Someone liked my post, dopamine. Someone followed me, dopamine. Someone did this, dopamine. Someone commented, dopamine. Someone did this, dopamine. Someone didn't do that. I'm depressed now. I want to keep adding stuff. I want to keep doing this. It is crack. And it's bad. And we know it's bad for us, but... So, kind of the big here thing is essentially when on social media, apps like TikTok, dopamine hits your brain in one of two ways. One, you receive an unprecedented reward, and your brain hits you with a healthy dose of dopamine. Two, your brain adapts to the unpredictable reward system and preemptively rewards you on anticipated risk. So, through this system, TikTok can use and develop a Pavlovian feedback loop. So once your brain gets used to the neurological release, it learns to anticipate and reward your body for even just the exposure of that release. So it's a dopamine loop. You just get addicted to it. When you're off this app, you want that hit. You want that hit of that drug. You want that cigarette. You want that crack. You want that TikTok. And that's what it is. And this is also kind of scary, too, because it's directed toward... Okay, so we all know that usually, or maybe not all though, but usually our brains don't fully develop till we're 25. So everything we do up to that point is really molding our brains for the rest of our lives. And that fact is really scary, because it can really change the way we view the world and the things that we do. So our brains grow and change based on our surroundings, and we pride ourselves on being adaptable creatures. So according to Dr. Albright, platforms like TikTok, including Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook, drive the same principles that have made gambling addictive. So just as you go to Vegas and you are addicted to gambling and you're losing your money and your wife and your kids, it's going to be the same with TikTok or any other social media, which really is scary. And people's lives have been really affected by this. So TikTok as well has a really big effect on attention span, and I realized this when I was on TikTok, and I've actually rejigged my brain to be good with attention span. I've rejigged it so that I can watch more Netflix documentaries that I enjoy, and YouTube. Obviously, probably not great for me either, but it's longer form content where at least I have a longer attention span, and I usually only watch podcasts on there, so at least I'm learning something, and I feel a bit better about it than scrolling on TikTok mindlessly. So this is really big attention span, because, we have really, short videos on there. Our attention span goes down and down and down, and there's literal TikTok users that try to get you to fix your attention span because they realize how bad it is for you, but obviously that doesn't do much. But there really are some big effects we're already seeing, and we're going to see even more and more as TikTok just gets more and more developed. So the Wall Street Journal reported on one possible correlation between the rise of young girls presenting with symptoms of Tourette's syndrome and their exposure to popular Tourette videos on TikTok. This is crazy. So this is notable because tics are often a symptom of mental distress. So in addition to being a symptom of Tourette's, so in this case, TikTok may not have caused a particular illness, but instead changes the commonality and awareness of one of its symptoms. Another aspect of TikTok is its visual foundation. Specific content are more likely to be flagged for inappropriate sexual content because, they're bigger. And also distorted the view on teenagers. All social media does this, but it distorts the view on kids and girls especially, and guys too, on what they should look like, what their bodies should be. So that's another effect. Not just about the dopamine hit, but just in general. TikTok can also lead to misdiagnosing of mental illnesses. Doctors have marked a distinct rise in young adults diagnosing with all this stuff. Because people on TikTok will be like, oh, I have this. And then someone's like, oh my gosh, I have autism because of that. Which you probably don't. You should go to a doctor. And, obviously, it kind of, people are self-diagnosing with stuff that just doesn't even make sense. Because a lot of these diseases are really uncommon. And they're diagnosing themselves with it when they don't have it. And as well, of course, there's more extremist content, so a lot of transphobia and really just horrible left-right extremist type of things that are on there. They can really sway. Because the one thing about the internet and algorithms is that what will happen is it will lead you down the rabbit hole you want to go. It won't show you both sides of the world. What social media does is it shows you the bad, or maybe what you consider good, I guess. It shows you what you want to see. So if you want to see a dog, it'll show you dog stuff. If you want to see a cat, it'll show you cat stuff. The dog people will say, cats are bad because I don't see any cats. I don't see that opinion. And then the cat people will be like, no, dogs are bad. I don't see dogs. And then that's where the argument's formed. That's a very simple example with dogs and cats. But you can kind of get the idea of where it leads you. It leads you down this rabbit hole and this loop where it only just confirms. It's confirmation bias. And confirmation bias is all around us in the world with the books and media that we even read or do. But the big aspect of it that is really huge is the effects on and the hits on things like TikTok, where the algorithm is based just for you to get content that you like. It's gonna have this even higher form of confirmation bias, where the social media tells you, "Yep, you know what? Cats are great. Cats are the best animal in the world. They're the only animal that exists." You can get that extreme, right? And then you only see that content, and then someone's talking about dogs. You're like, dogs don't exist. Only cats exist. I only have seen cats ever in my whole life, because that's all you've been exposed to because of this confirmation bias and because of social media. So only preemptively puts that out more. And something like politics, which obviously I don't want to use that example because that can be a little extreme and people get mad because it's so extreme nowadays. Politics can be heavily swayed on this because there's all this confirmation bias. So people are only seeing what they want to see. They aren't getting the whole picture. And both sides, both left and both right, are really just wrong because they don't get things right when they're only looking at their sides. So there obviously are some upsides. And you know what? There's some nice groups that are formed on there. Like any social media, there's a lot of bad, but there can be good. And I think we need to stay positive with social media. It isn't going anywhere, right? The thing is it's not going to suddenly disappear tomorrow. It is going to stay for a really long time. So how do we use this to our advantage? Well, in my opinion, one, unfollow all the accounts that make you feel bad about yourself. If you're following stuff that makes you feel fat, if you're following stuff that makes you feel unworthy of life, if you're following stuff that makes you just like an unhappy person, unfollow it. I don't care if it's your best friend or if it's some super famous person. Just unfollow it. Then follow people that are important to you. I'm gonna be honest. I'm obviously quite the nerd, right? I've never been embarrassed about that. So for me, I've always followed accounts that I really do enjoy. I think the other day, actually, I did this on Instagram because I use that one the most. I looked up how many kind of university and related university content I follow because I'm in grade 10 and I'm really obsessed with university admissions. And I follow over like 30 university accounts, and I follow like 400 people. So that's pretty crazy. I follow a lot of influencers, well, not influencers, I'd say more famous people that inspire me. Huge person that inspires me is Elon Musk. So on Twitter, I follow him. I follow a lot of astronauts. I follow a lot of like people like Jeff Bezos. I follow, let me spitball some more. I follow some YouTubers that I enjoy their content. I follow, what else do I follow? I follow a lot. Actually, the only thing that ever pops up on my feed are all this. I follow stuff like NASA, SpaceX, a lot of space stuff. I follow some running content because I'm a runner and I love that type of stuff. I follow one particular artist that I adore. I follow Dragon's Den and Shark Tank and some of the people that are on Dragon's Den and Shark Tank. I follow some plane accounts. I follow some clothing accounts that I like, right? I follow an account called Metaverse. Highly recommend. It talks about Metaverse, Web3, and NFTs. Web3 is going to be an episode on the podcast soon, guys. Actually, a little hint if you stuck along. I follow a lot of university accounts. I follow world leaders. I follow food, drink, a lot of podcast channels. I follow, influencers that I enjoy, jewelry brands. I follow Time and Forbes and things like that. I follow, those are kind of the main things that I follow. I would say I follow some musician artists. So, honestly, the thing is, follow things that inspire you, what you like. The person that guest spoke, because I did mention this at one point, the person that guest spoke at my school today talked about how to optimize the section. I think I can kind of speedball it really quick. He talked about how there should be a what. So what is your what in life? What do you want in your life? Maybe you want to work at Pixar. That was the example he gave. Then what's your why, right? The example he gave was, okay, your why is that you love animation. Now, how are you going to use social media to your benefit? Because obviously I talked about TikTok mainly, but TikTok, and I think TikTok is the most addictive, but TikTok and other social media has very similar algorithms and things like that. But when you go onto these apps, what are you going to do? Are you going to mindlessly scroll and ruin your attention span and mess up, your life and your brain? a little extreme, but this is what happens. Or are you gonna go onto social media and are you gonna use it purposely? So what he said is go with the what, go with the why, and then follow accounts that go with that, right? As I said, I follow a ton of university accounts. I follow things like Harvard, but not just top schools. I follow things like Babson because I'm thinking of going into finance. I follow a lot of university accounts actually, and this actually helps me too see what the universities are like and get me a feel for if I want to apply or what that would look like as well. Follow things that and people that inspire you and going the places you want to go. Obviously, scream things like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are people I follow, but I also follow astronauts that deeply inspire me. I follow some engineers because I'm thinking of going to engineering possibly as well. I follow entrepreneurs that deeply inspire me. So follow people that inspire you and get a feel for what they are like and understand what they do and their lives and try and not mimic what they are doing, but get inspired by what they are doing. It'll give you a lot more ideas for your future. Even if you're an adult, follow people that inspire you. Because honestly, your time on social media too, if you're spending a lot of time on social media, it might as well be enjoyable. Don't focus on the likes, don't focus on the comments, don't focus on the dopamine hit. Focus on what is going to change your world. Focus on what is going to make you a better person. And focus on what is going to change your perspective on life. And I think that's so important. So that what, why, and how you're going to use social media to your advantage. I did want to briefly touch on how TikTok is owned by China. I think this is really important to note. TikTok is owned by China, which is really scary because all the other big social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram and all of that are owned by people in the US. And that means the US, or at least the people that own it in the US, have that data. And data is probably one of the biggest things in the world, and actually maybe I'll lure to a future podcast episode because I don't have enough time today. But I think that social media and data kind of link it together really nicely. But data is huge because it tells you what the world trends are and how you can influence people and influence the world. And influencing people we've been trying to do for decades, centuries, millennia. But now social media is just so easy to do. So TikTok being owned by China is scary because now they have this data of people in the US and they can manipulate trends in the US. And I think that's scary. The thing that briefly touched on as well, I heard. Not exactly if this is complete fact, so take it with a grain of salt. But I wouldn't doubt if this is true. I heard that China shows content that is more educational and more smart, right? Things like engineering and science to people in China that use their algorithm. They like that. But then they show content like stupid TikTok dances and kind of idiotic content to Americans and people on the west coast of the world, right? The west side of the world, the wild, wild west. And I wouldn't doubt if this is true, but if it really is true, right? Maybe it's not, but if it is true, it's scary because that means China can control the young population, can control, what their goals are in the future, what their dreams are in the future. If you are a country that wants to be number one in the world, you want your youth to be inspired by science. You want your youth to be inspired by changing the world, making a difference, and innovating. You don't want your youth to be inspired by making a stupid TikTok dance or trying to look, hot on social media or whatever you want to call it. You want your youth to be smart, you want your youth to innovate, and you want your youth to change the world. You don't want your youth to inspire to be a TikToker or a YouTuber. So, by influencing your audience in your country to want to be something impressive like that is huge because if you influence someone in the States, right, which is, obviously right now, especially the biggest country in the world, objectively, in a lot of ways it is. It's a powerhouse. You can influence their youth to want to be something that, is considered more stupid and considered something that isn't going to be valuable to the world. You can really change the way that the world moves. You can change the way that topics and subjects and things in the world are influenced by, and you can change the way the world works, and you can make your country so much better, and you can make your country more innovative. It is sad in a way that countries are very competitive in this way. We don't just get the whole world working on things like this, but that's just the way it is. And countries are going to do what they want for it. So when Donald Trump a while ago, people were freaking out that he wanted to delete Twitter, but it makes sense because if China owns Twitter and they can control the youth, and they can control our population in such a big way, they can control how our country and how our system works, and they can control what our youth does. And that is probably the scariest thing, because the power is in education and the power is in the youth. And if you can control both the education and both the youth, you can bring down a powerhouse of a country. And that is what is the scariest thing to me personally. Because you can talk all day about how, it's scary that it hits the dopamine, and it is, all these things, and it's dumb content. But if another country is using this to their advantage, using the data, using all of these things to their advantage to make another country worse, especially a powerhouse like the U.S., and making the youth do stupider things, it can really affect the way the world changes and the way the world is affected and the way countries in the world work. So I think that's very scary. So to wrap it up, social media, TikTok mainly, I say personally get off TikTok. I don't think there's any use for it unless you have a social media account for TikTok for a business or a podcast, I guess. I don't have my podcast on there. Maybe it'd be smart, maybe one day, but I know it's just so bad for me I can't even log into that app. But I would say just get off TikTok or limit your use and use social media smart. Social media is not all that bad. I talked about how bad it is and how bad, how China owns TikTok is kind of bad, and how, obviously all these things are really bad about TikTok and other social media platforms. But I would really say the really main thing to focus on is, if you are on social media a lot, one, lower it as much as you can, but two, use that time on TikTok or Instagram or whatever you may be on to your advantage and use it smart. Do things that are smart. Research things that are smart. Listen to podcasts like my own. Obviously, I'm shutting out my own podcast here, but, kind of listen to podcasts or listen to people, follow people that inspire you and get you to the place you want to be in life. I know I do it. Don't be embarrassed by the people you follow. You know what? It's who you are as a person. And if you are trying to act cool in life and try to be someone you're not, you will only be miserable. No matter if you're 50 years old or if you're 10 years old. If you try in life and try and make yourself act cool, act popular, try and be this, try and be that, you are only going to be the most miserable person in the world, and you are going to end up nowhere in life. Because the only thing you focus on is popularity, and which, let's be honest, gets you nowhere in life. Making a change and bettering yourself and working towards your goals is what makes you better in life. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I went on a really long spiel there, but I think it was really important. I really enjoyed this topic. Web3 or data, the epidemic of data in the world, I think are things I might be talking about in the future. So if you need something, I'm so sorry. At least I'm coughing at the end here. If you guys need something to really look forward to in terms of topics, go check that out. Probably next week I'll talk about one of those two things. Hopefully I will talk about something interesting to you guys. As well, I have 17 other episodes, 18 including this one, up on the channel currently, if you're listening to it right when this comes out. So go check out every episode, or as many as you'd like. I really do have a topic for every single one, everybody and anyone. I have topics from science, space, things like this, fear of failure. I talk about other things. I talk about The Alchemist, the book, my favorite book ever. So go check all of those out. And to connect, I talked about social media. So if you actually do want to connect with an account that you love, which better be my account, go check out my social media at ever.changingworld. For Instagram, again, Instagram is ever.changingworld. Twitter, I gotta change this, but it's Cambridge_bound. Again, Cambridge_bound. And the website is shows.acast.com/ever-changing-world. Again, shows.acast.com/ever-changing-world. Guys, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Cut down on social media use. Follow my social media if you want to curate your social media to stuff you love. And everybody have a wonderful day. And the world is always changing. Thank you.